Oh my god, this is unbelievable. My friend, on our road to 1 million subscribers, I'd like to take this opportunity first to thank you, my friend, for that good vibes gesture of joining us today. Second, I really appreciate you subscribing and hitting that like button. It's because of wonderful souls like yourself, my friend, that we here believe we can spread our message to the whole world. Good vibes soul. If you don't know our message, or you might have missed it from the different episodes, or maybe you could have forgotten, let me keep you up to speed, good vibes, child of God. Here, our message is to unite the whole world. Make sure that everyone is honest. And not just that, everyone is able to forgive their neighbor the way they'd like to be forgiven by the creator of any sins that they might have. Last but not least, my friend, is love. The unconditional love of the creator. The one that made you unique and special just the way you are. That love, my friend, is what we here are dedicated to preaching to the whole world. And for us to preach this love wonderfully, we must be guided by some grateful creator, my friend, that we ask for their help in every show before we start. But that is always with our short word of thanks. Today, we shall be doing that shortly, but after we get to hear about the creator from this fantastic book here called The Guide of Life. It tells us about lots of things. Today, hear what it says. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of God's one and only Son. John 3:17 going down. Interesting, right? That is one wonderful creator that gave out his only son. That is great, my friends. Now, let's talk with this maker, my friend, and ask for their guidance in this show. Father Lord, full of mercies and love, we acknowledge your kindness, Father, and we come before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Father, for this beautiful day. Thank you, dear Lord, Father, for even uniting us together with your special child here, today's viewer. Thank you for that gesture, dear Lord. Father, as we react to the videos together with this child of yours, Father, may you guide us through to the end. May your Spirit, Father, guide us, Father. Fill our minds, dear Lord, with enlightenment, Father. And also, this viewer that is watching, Father, may you forgive them their sins, uplift their souls, Father. Bless them abundantly, dear Lord. And through these videos, Father, may they have a life transforming experience, all for the glory and honor of your name. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Let's dive in, good vibes. Sus.
You know what my favorite animal fact is? It's that if an animal looks dorky doing something in a habitat that they regularly live in, it means that they probably have a highly extreme specialized skill in another. And it's not like, don't judge a fish by the way it climbs a tree, right? They don't live there normally. It's things like penguins, right? Like they live on land routinely, but look at them. They look so dorky and cumbersome, like waddling around. But then you see them in the water. It's psychotically fast, right? But my favorite example of that is the American bison, because you watch them walk, right? And it's almost like laborious. Like they have to pick up each foot. It's like dum, 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 right? And they can't see very well. And so you think like, what is this cow even good for? But the fluffy cows are actually runners. They can go like 35 miles an hour, and they run and evolve to run in hundreds or even thousands, tightly packed together over long distance, over all different kinds of terrain. And like I said, they can't see, right? So they're not navigating by like watching the ground, and all they're looking at is like their brother's butt in front of them. And so they can't fall, because then they would like kill off a lot of their buddies. They would be trampled. And so they've evolved to be insanely agile and graceful 35-mile-an-hour runners over all different kinds of terrain. That's so impressive. And the crazy thing is like people who keep bison, like switching from cows to bison is really expensive because they jump so high, it's hard to keep them in. And where water features can keep in cattle, right? Creeks, ponds, rivers, stuff like that, because not great swimmers. It doesn't keep in bison because they are actually great swimmers. They can even turn on a dime. Isn't that nuts? The fluffy cows, are just really impressive athletes. So yeah, if you ever see something and it looks a little awkward, like where it lives, it's probably really good at something else. I just think that's really interesting. I think it's really cool.
A star is going to explode in the night sky any day now. This one right here is T Coronae Borealis, and it hasn't been seen without a telescope in 80 years. And yet sometime soon, it's going to become as bright as the North Star, and it will only be visible for a couple of days. This is a recurrent nova. It's a binary star system with this huge red giant star and this white dwarf star, and the white dwarf is pulling material from the red giant and from the area around it, and it's collecting this into a dense atmosphere. But the atmosphere, it gets too hot and it starts fusing and it explodes off of the star, which is very bright. This happens in regular intervals because the white dwarf star will explode and then collect more material and then explode again. So for this one, it happens about every 80 years, and it's due to happen any day now, but it's incredibly hard to predict exactly when. But here's what the star's brightness looked like in 1945 before it exploded. The brightness dipped and then it exploded. This is the current brightness for this star. It's dipping. So this means it's about to explode, but predicting the day is very hard. When it does explode, you'll only have a couple of days to see it before it gets dim again, and it'll be in the constellation Corona Borealis. But also, if you think about it, since this star is 3,000 light years away, and it happens about every 80 years, this star has already exploded about 37 times, and we just haven't seen it yet.
How far could you travel back in time and still understand English? Well, let's find out. I'm going to read to you a passage, but each line is going to use a progressively older and older translation. See how long it takes before you can't understand anymore. Now, the whole world had one language and a common speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said, one to another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them well." They, having brick instead of stone, as they had mortar for clay. And they said, "Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to say the city and tower, which the sons of men builded. And the Lord said, "Say, the people is one, and have one tongue among them all. And this have they begun to do, and will not leave of from all that they have purposed to do. Therefore come ye, go we down, and shend away their tongue of him, that each man hear not the voice of his neighbor. Swa vrichten hier tådalde of thar stoa, jonde alle erdan. And for tham man nemte tha stoa Babel, for tham thar waron tådalde alle spracha. So let me know how long it took before you stopped understanding. My guess is that it started getting pretty difficult around 500 years ago, which should make sense. That's roughly when the cutoff is between modern and Middle English. And I would guess that 1,000 years ago, it was pretty much incomprehensible, which should also make sense. That's roughly the cutoff between Middle and Old English.
Did you know that there's a total of 9 demonic spirits in the Bible that God warns us about? These are the dark forces that roam around us day to day. Let's get into it. Number 1 is the unclean spirit. These are the types of spirits that oppress people physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. In the book of Mark and Luke, Jesus often casts out unclean spirits from people. They cause compulsive behaviors, anxiety, depression. They torment and confuse and cause people to become sick. Number 2, and one of the most common spirits, a lying spirit. Spirits that confuse, lead people into false doctrine. 1 Kings 22:22 says this: "A lying spirit volunteered to deceive King Ahab through false prophecy." Number 3, spirits of infirmity. These are the spirits responsible for chronic weakness or illness. Let's look at Luke 13:11. A woman was crippled by spirit of infirmity for 18 years. Number 4, and this is where it gets interesting, familiar spirits. Spirits that mimic loved ones or speak through psychics. They often gather personal information and manifest through occult practices. Look at Leviticus 19:31. Do not turn to mediums or seek what unfamiliar spirits, for you will be defiled by them. Number 5, and very common, the Jezebel spirit. Manipulation, seduction, control, rebellion, and spiritual intimidation. Here's the thing about Jezebel spirits. These spirits seek people who are walking with God. Because these spirits, the goal is to undermine spiritual authority, is to get people to fall for them. It's to get you to fall and be deceived by them. Number 6, spirits of divination. This is simply a counterfeit prophetic spirit. It can sound accurate, very accurate, but it's sourced from darkness. Open up to Acts 16:16. A slave girl had a spirit of divination, and that spirit could predict the future until Paul himself cast the spirit out. Number 7, the Legion. These are many spirits operating all together. In Mark 5, Jesus encounters a man possessed by this Legion spirit. It's one of the strongest because it's a multi-layered possession. Number 8, and you might have came across this, the deceiving and deluding spirits. Spirits who are sent as judgment to deceive people from the truth. 1 Timothy 4:1. Some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits. And last but not least, the principalities, the powers, and the rulers. These aren't demons in personal oppression sense. They are territorial and high-ranking spiritual entities. These are the spirits that directly work with Satan. They are in Satan's hierarchy. They rule over legions, cultures, or nations. Some of them are in the system. They carry spiritual authority. They spread evil ideologies, agendas. This is kind of referring to like a mass deception.
Remember when Jesus told Peter, wait, don't scroll. Get your finger off the scroll button. It's going to be real quick. Remember when Jesus told Peter, he said, get thee behind me, Satan? This is how discernment works as well. You have to discern when Satan is operating through a person. Then Paul circles the block back in Ephesians and he says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So you can't go back and forth arguing with people. You have to discern, like, I know this person might be close to me. I know I may love this person, but in this very moment, the enemy is working. Then you're going to fight differently and pray differently and bind up any demonic spirit that may be trying to operate. So Jesus didn't have time to spare Peter's feelings. He had to realize, okay, get thee behind me, Satan. I know you're using Peter at the moment, but it's really Satan that's at work. And so that's how we fight. We don't fight against the air. We're not just throwing punches in the air, but we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and we fight strategically in prayer and fasting and forgiveness and seeking the Lord.
When you are physically attractive and you have powerful energy, a lot of people will naturally feel uncomfortable around you and intimidated by you. But do not be fooled into believing their inferiority complex has more to do with you than them. A friend once told me how I used to think I was better than everyone, how if they didn't know me, they think I had a superiority complex, and how I used to give off a vibe that I thought I was up there. And in spite of them being able to communicate all of this to me, not once did they acknowledge the issues they had with their own insecurities. And needless to say, we're not friends anymore.
If your tape measure doesn't do this, then get rid of it. All the ends on the end of the blades of these tape measures move. This is by design. So whether you're measuring against something or you're measuring away from something, that small movement in the tip allows you to get true zero. So that's why.
Oh yeah, nobody hated their mom as much as Eminem did. See, Eminem grew up broke. His mama called him over. She said, son, come here. He said, yeah, mama. She said, son, we broke. And your upbringing finna be tough. Fast forward a bunch of years, he becomes a famous rapper. He says, hey, y'all, my upbringing was tough. His mom said, like I was saying, we was broken. He said, nah, it was tough because of her. He said, yeah, she sucked as a mom, and on top of that, she was always on that stuff. His mom said, what did he say? And this is when Debbie had a problem. Her name is Debbie, by the way. I forgot to tell you. She said because of all the stuff Eminem was saying about her, every time she left the house, she would get picked on. Her son is famous. He got a lot of fans. So she said, look, I'm finna sue Eminem for $10 million. Eminem said, 10 million, what? She said, I ain't stutter. On top of that, she goes on a press tour. She's saying, look, Eminem cap, I spoiled him as a child. The interviewer said, but would you on that stuff though? She said, no. Now, at this point, Eminem starts to release more disses about his mom. He starts doubling down. But this isn't really a good look for Eminem, because when Eminem disses, he disses hard. So his people are telling him, look, let's just get this case stuff done with as soon as possible. Debbie's lawyer says, all right, cool. We're going to take it down from 10 million to 2 million. Let's just knock it all down. Eminem says, okay, good idea, but how about this? How about she gets $0? I'd rather pay, in his own words, $100,000 in lawyer fees so she doesn't see a dime. The lawyers looked at each other. They said, oh, them folks for real. Everybody looked at Debbie. They said, can you be the voice of reason in all this? She said, absolutely. And you can listen to all my reason in my new diss track. Yes, she releases a diss track towards Eminem saying, hey, I was a good mom. You suck. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Boom, fast forward. It's time for court. The judge says, Mama, how much you want? She said, $2 million. The judge said, two. Hold on, in dollars or naira? She said, dollars? He said, no. Because here's the thing. It's really hard to win a defamation case, which she was suing her son Eminem for, saying that he defamed her, which would mean she would have to prove that all the things Eminem said about his childhood wasn't true, which would be extremely difficult to do. Now, the question remains, is the stuff Eminem said about her true or not? I don't know. I wasn't there. But there are people that were. His uncle says, absolutely not. True, kinda. His mom did the best that she could. A few of Debbie's ex-boyfriends, though, said, nah, that boy Eminem, he went through hell. So you could probably understand why this would be so difficult to prove. He said this, she said that. So a judge said, no, y'all settle this out of court. The lawyers got together, they said $25,000. Debbie said, nah, you tripping. She looked at her lawyer, she said, they tripping, right? Her lawyer said, boy, you finna be mad at me, because we actually finna give you $1,600. Because they said $25,000. My fee is $23,400. Be easy. Yes, Eminem's mother, Debbie, only made it out with $1,600. But to make matters worse, Eminem comes out with another diss song called Cleaning Out My Closet, where he empties the clip. The music video is him digging a grave, basically saying, you're dead to me. But years later, Eminem ends up apologizing for the song, and him and his mom end up reconciling. He says he understands the stress that she must have went through raising him as a single mother. Debbie ended up tragically passing away in December 2024, but at least she was able to reconcile with her son Marshall, and they had a happy ending. Oh, also podcast coming out Friday, 1 p.m. PST. Well, I don't know when you're watching this, so April 4th.
What does it mean when this happens?
Yo, 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 yo. Lots of interesting stuff all this way. That story we just had one good vibes ending, you see? Full of love, forgiveness, compassion, and basically what we always talk about here. Wonderful souls. It's good to always sort out disputes among ourselves. Be full of love. Be forgiving, my friends. You see? That way we can impact the whole world with good vibes. Other good vibes, my friend, are living their different perspective from different videos. Others, my friends, also talking about some good vibes words from this book here, the Book of Wisdom. And clearly, we all have different understandings of lots of things. You, my friend, leave yours down below and help us go through these videos together with love. Let's keep moving.
What does it mean when this happens to you? Although many doctors will tell you that this is a disorder called tinnitus, that's actually not very common, and it could be something completely different. The non-physical meaning of ringing in the ears is actually a sign of higher awareness and clairaudience, which means that you have the ability to hear things beyond ordinary perception. This means you're energetically sensitive and more aware of energetic shifts happening around you and within you. So what can you do with these abilities? Well, for one, you can tell when the vibe within yourself and the vibe in the room is changing. And you can even channel messages from your higher self or from angels or any other spiritual being. Ringing in your left ear means your internal energies are shifting, while ringing in your right ear means a spiritual being is trying to communicate with you. Use these two charts for your abilities.
I have no idea how to explain what just happened, but I was, whoa, hold on. So I was just in the restroom, and I was sitting on the toilet. I don't have to tell you what you do when you sit on a toilet, but I'm kidding you not. As clear as I'm speaking to you right now, out of breath, I hear something say, "You're done. Get out of here." And I literally thought someone walked in my front door, and I said, "Hello?" So I hear it again, "Get out, you're done." So I got up. It's not like I was there for a very long time. I walked into this kitchen and I hear a crash come from the bathroom. Oh, I'm starting to shake. Had I not gotten out of this bathroom when I heard something say, "Get out of this bathroom," all of that would have fallen on top of me and I would have been very, very injured. I'm literally sweating. I'm shaking. That was the most... I know we talk about Freddie being here, but that was something different. That was like, "Get out now." And then that happened. I don't know what else to say. That literally just happened right now.
Do you have the psychic gift of clairaudience? Here are 5 signs that you're clairaudient. Now first, what is clairaudience? It's the ability to hear voices and sounds in your head intuitively. In other words, no one can hear them but you. Sign 1. You hear sounds like footsteps or something breaking, but no one's around and nothing broke. Sign 2. You experience a ringing in one or both ears that starts suddenly out of nowhere. It typically only lasts for a short amount of time and often happens more frequently when no one else is around. 3. You have conversations with yourself. Now these are different than just talking out loud. Instead, it involves discussions where you get answers that you wouldn't have come to on your own or that you didn't expect. For example, you might go on a walk and ask a question to yourself and then get the answer within your mind. 4. You often get random songs stuck in your head that seem to come out of nowhere, and then when you sit and actually think about the lyrics, you realize it's a message for you about what you're currently going through. 5. You hear voices. This is the hallmark of this gift. Hearing internal or external voices from guides is the key sign that you have this power. Is this you? Let me know in the comments.
Y'all, angels are real. In 2013, I was in California. I was dead broke. Some of the worst times of my life. I was sleeping in a car. I was eating little cheap tacos to survive. And I was on my way to the bus stop with my brother one night, on the way back to a motel that we were spending every little dime that we had because we didn't have anywhere else to stay at that moment. Tough times. A man came up to us in the middle of the night and he said, "Hey, what are you guys doing out here?" And we were a little taken back. We're like, okay, it's a little late. We don't know what this man is doing. We know people see young black men out. They think we're probably doing something wrong. So we're like, we're not doing anything wrong. And he goes, "Hey guys, don't be scared." And he reaches in his wallet and he says, "God told me to give this to you." Gave us $20. We were like, wow, this is amazing. This is not something that we expected. And he said, "I wish I can give you guys more." And then he reached into his wallet and said, "You know what? I actually can." Gave us $20 more. And he said something to us. He said something that has hit me in my spirit. I've never forgotten it. It has been applicable to every part of my life. And I think it will bless anyone who hears it. It sounds truly like the Spirit of the Lord. He said, he reached in a little closer and he said, "God knows you need money, but it's not about the money, it's about your heart." I was taken back. I was blown away. I was like, wow, this has to be like a messenger from the Lord. And we were just blown away. I know I was. And me and my brother were just looking at each other in just shock and awe, like we're struggling. We needed this miracle, not just the money, but just God's presence alone. Him letting us know I'm still here. And as me and my brother looked at each other and just kind of in shock, we turned back. This guy was gone. I don't know if he cut a corner real fast. I have no idea, but I tell you this story because, man, right now it's tough. And I can look back at these moments that I'm still affected by. This was over a decade ago. And I can tell you that I need another one of those moments. God is not a machine. He's not a genie. He doesn't do things the way that we are accustomed to him doing them because he done it this way one time. I want to tell anyone who is feeling discouraged, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like, man, this is not my time right now. Things are just overwhelming me. It feels like I'm never going to come out of this. God knows you are in need. But it's not about the physical need that you have. It's about your heart. God wants to touch your heart. Just like when Samuel was anointing David as king, he even said that God looks at he said man looks at the external appearance, but God doesn't do that. God looks at the heart. God is not neglecting you. He's not deciding not to provide for you because he's mad at you, but he's doing a work in your heart. Something I'm just thinking about that I think it applies to me. Why not make a video about it? God knows your needs. He knows the amount of hairs on your head. God is not short that his hand can't save, but he's doing a work in your heart. Follow for more.
Oh yes, believe you me, angels are very real. I've encountered angels at least 3 times in my lifetime. And I'll tell you about one in 2007. I was on a 7-day fast. I was fasting and praying and trusting God and believing God for something. And I had another encounter where my spirit came out of my body and I was being carried. And I'll never forget, I was moving slowly, but I heard wind gusting past my ears, almost like when you're on the freeway and you let your windows down and you hear that breeze, a powerful breeze coming in. But I'm wondering, why am I hearing this breeze but I'm moving slowly? And I looked over to see, what was carrying me. Turns out that the sound was coming from the wings of an angel. And when I saw the wings, every feather was alive. It wasn't like a bird or something. Every feather was alive. And it was producing that wind. And the angel was carrying me, and I began to see into apartment buildings. I began to see things inside of the city that I was looking over, and I could see the hurts of people and what people needed prayer for and what needed to be done. And after all that was over, I was taken back to the spot that I was taken from, and I saw the angel, and the angel was a tall, fierce angel. He was like a warrior angel, and I knew that he was sent there to protect me. And I believe that the angel has been with me since 2007 and probably before. We have angels that watch over us. The Bible says that concerning Jesus, he's given his angels charge over us. And then he speaks in the book of Hebrews that angels are ministering spirits. So they're real. And it also says, be careful how you treat strangers, because you could be entertaining an angel unawarely.